Today I'm gonna go over some strategies to run when it's really, really, really cold. 8.63 miles, 8 minutes, 51 seconds per mile, 141 beats per minute today on an easy run with a handful of strides in there for today in some very cold conditions. 3 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 16 degrees Celsius, if I've done the Google search on that correctly. And today I wanted to talk about what I've been doing, how I've been coping with these really, really, really cold temperatures. But before I do want to go over some disclosures. This isn't really going to be like a winter buying guide. It's not going to be that. I've already made that video. I'll post a link to that in the description. But what I'm going to talk about is kind of how some of those pieces can go with some other strategies that I use. But to the extent that I am talking about certain pieces of apparel, naming things specifically, I'll post in the description which of those things I purchased myself and which were provided for the purpose of review in prior videos by manufacturers or retailers. But in either event, no one's paying me to make this video or to include any of their stuff in the video, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about some of my strategies for running when it's super, super cold. Now, first, let's kind of define super cold. For me, like super, super cold, I'm intentionally using that as a term, or really, really cold. I'm using that as a term because like what's really, really cold for you is what's really, really cold for you. Cold is relative. You know, people like to play knifey spoony on the internet all the time. I'll say it was 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Someone else will say, oh, you think that's cold? That's not cold. This is cold. And they'll tell me what the temperature was like on their run. And that's awesome. I love trading notes like that, but it doesn't have to be a contest. What I get cold very, very easily, and I stay cold for a long time. It takes me a long time to warm up. So what's really cold to me is not what's really cold to someone else. But from our relative perspective, we're both experiencing really, really cold. So that's kind of, let's not like fight over it. Really, really cold for you is what's really, really cold. I think these concepts that I'm talking about are gonna kind of translate. So what are the concepts I'm talking about? There are 3 things, and overall, here, let's simplify it down. I'm gonna go into like the 3 things that I think are important in terms of playing around with, in terms of figuring out how you're going to dress yourself for the day and what you're gonna do on the run. But let me simplify it even further and give it kind of like the general rule. The general rule is if you're cold, put on more stuff. You know, a lot of people talk about like you got to get the gear right. You don't want to be too hot because if you start sweating, then you'll die out there. Like people get pretty intense about it. I've yet to been like, I was so hot on this cold weather run that it made me cold. I felt uncomfortable before. I felt clammy. I've been sweaty on like a 5 degree Fahrenheit day before. And it's a really weird combination of feelings to have. But I would rather be a little bit too hot than a little bit too cold on any run. So like if you're not sure, put on that extra layer. That's gonna be like the short takeaway. But to get into it a little bit more detail and how I approach it, here are kind of like the 3 things that I balance. The 3 things that I balance are warmth, weather, and intensity. I really was looking for a third W to make it alliterative all the way around, but intensity, I don't know how to like make that a W word. Maybe you guys can put it in the comments if you think of something, but those are like my 3 things that I kind of play around with. How warm are the clothes that I'm going to be wearing? How much wind protection do those clothes have, or how much wind protection do I need? And how intense is the run going to be? And that's kind of the way that, depending on how any of those things change on any given morning, it's going to affect what I'm picking for the day. You can also, if you're getting cold out there and you're like, this is getting really cold, I'm not sure how long I should be out here, you can just kind of, I mean, it might mess up your training plan a little bit, but pick up the pace for a little bit, just kind of like jumpstart things, get your heart rate moving just a little bit higher. Maybe it is like just throw a couple of strides in the middle of your run, maybe throw in like a bit faster of a mile in the middle of your longer run, if that's what you're out there doing. That'll just kind of like raise the temperature a little bit and make everything seem a little bit more bearable. And if nothing else, it'll get the run over faster so you can get back home quicker. So let's go into some more specifics on that. So normally the running pants that I'll wear, I really like running tights, and not like the compression tights that you wear under a pair of shorts like in the late fall or early spring. I'm talking about like running pants that are like type. So those are the ones that I'll wear like when it's 30-degree warmer than it is right now, like in the around freezing point. Those are going to be fine for me. Even when it's 3 degrees out, I can still wear those and just those as like the only lower layer if the intensity is high. So like if I've got a lot of moderate effort miles in there or some shorter bouts of higher intensity work, maybe I'm doing some threshold miles or even something even faster than that, then overall it's just going to keep me a little bit warmer, keep things moving, so I can like get away with a little bit less. If it's not going to be as intense of a run, which is most days, so like today for example, you know, easy miles with 8 strides in there for the run. On a day like that, what I'll typically do is I'll have those thinner compression tights, or like those thinner like running tights, the kind that you might wear under shorts, as a base layer, and then put a layer of pants on top. And now I don't really like double up on tights, so if I'm doing that, I've usually got like a compression layer or a base layer underneath, like long tights, full tights. And then on top I've got either like joggers or like kind of sweatpant-ish, something a little bit baggier that fits on top. So that's kind of the way I will double up if it starts to get really, really cold. Lately I've been seeing a lot of pants have like panels or protection like up front in the pants, so either like down the front of the quad or just generally covering kind of like the crotch area. Those are the parts where I'm really concerned about cold. On like the coldest days when it gets really windy, if you're not wearing enough, that's where you're really going to feel it, kind of like in like the boxer briefs kind of area in the front. That's where you feel a lot of that cold like just cutting across you. So I really appreciate pants that have those kinds of panels. I picked up a pair from Under Armour that I've been really loving this year, and then I have that pair from Kraft, the Subzero running tights that I've been wearing for a couple of years now. Just absolutely love those pants. Those can either be worn alone if it's going to be just an easy day and I don't need to wear the tights, but if it's going to be an easy day with some wind or an easy day and I'm going to be out there a little bit longer, then I might do that base layer underneath. But always what I do in the wintertime is I switch my socks from no show or like the thinnest socks that I can find in the summer to like not the thickest socks, but the tallest socks that I can find. So I like having at least like a light amount of padding or a medium amount of padding around the sock totally, but also having that come up above the calf. So I'm getting like a little bit of a calf sleeve, you know, with the sock, give me a little bit more coverage the further away from my kind of core. Those parts, I like to have a little bit of extra layer there. So I've got on the coldest days or the windiest days, I've got the base layer, then the long socks go on top of that, and then the pants might go on top of that too. So that's kind of like the layer scheme that it works out. As far as upper body, something that I've been absolutely loving this winter is some new fabrics that or at least new to me, they've been around for a while. But I used to run like pretty much always in these like tech tees, like the same like material that I would have for my t-shirts in running in the summer. I would just have like long sleeve versions like this. A lot of you guys would probably have them from running in races. These aren't my favorite to run in like very, very cold winter. I love these in the fall where like a short sleeve might not be long enough. They're great for layering in like early winter. Also great, but once it starts to get like in that really, really cold territory, I've been absolutely loving long sleeve layers or even short sleeve layers that have either merino wool or Tencel, TENCEL fibers in them. The material is absolutely incredible. The way that it works, it doesn't feel like it's going to work. It doesn't feel like runner-y like those tech materials can kind of be. It just feels like you're wearing like just like a nice soft layer, but it does a really great job of keeping the heat in a good way without being like overly clammy or just like uncomfortable, not having any problems with chafing. At least I haven't experienced any of that. And it's really great for layering. So those are a little bit more expensive, a lot more expensive a lot of times than getting just like a generic long sleeve kind of like tech running shirt, but for me it's definitely been worth it because then I'm not wearing like triple layers. I'm going with a long sleeve with either merino in it or Tencel fibers in it, and then also pairing that with a really high quality jacket. So the two jackets that I've been running in a ton are the Tracksmith No Days Off jacket. It's windproof, and it's also got merino wool in it as well, and so it just does a fantastic job. You put it on, it's like you're insulated from the elements. It itself is not like the warmest of jackets, but it's kind of like what I would I've never worn a wetsuit, but it's what I imagine wearing like a wetsuit would be like. You still feel like the environment around you is cold, but it's not hitting your core. I feel like that's kind of like what that jacket does. So like when I pair that with like a long sleeve layer with merino or tencel, those two things, just those two things, I've been able to go for very long runs in temperatures like we had today. It's been really fantastic. Same thing with the Gore, I believe it's the R5 Infinium jacket. That thing is absolutely amazing. It's really crinkly and noisy, but it's Gore-Tex, so it's windproof, it's waterproof, and the Infinium insulation that they have is just mind-bogglingly warm. So again, pairing a long sleeve with merino or tencel with that Gore Infinium has just been absolutely amazing. I typically reserve that one for like my workout days because it is so lightweight and just gets out of the way. It feels invisible. If I have something where I'm running repetitions or intervals or even threshold work, that's the jacket that I'll reach for because it just stays out of the way while keeping me warm. Now, those jackets are also very expensive, and the tops that I talked about are very expensive. I'm not saying you got to go out and get those super expensive things, but if you don't, then I think that you're gonna have to think a little bit more about layering. So what I did last year before I had some of these new to me materials and the new jackets is that I would kind of go frequently with a triple layer. So I would usually running t-shirt, running long sleeve shirt, and then like a thicker jacket on top. So I would go with the triple layer, and I did that for a lot of the time last winter too. And then the main area that I worry about when it comes to being very cold when it's windy is my belly. I don't know why, but for some reason when like the wind cuts through, like that part of the core, starting from kind of like where a heart rate monitor would go down to like the middle of my calves, that's the area when it gets really windy, it just tends to hit me right in that part, kind of I guess like the strike zone almost. And so that's the areas that I'm looking to really keep warm. So, you know, I didn't double up on long sleeves usually, but I would do short sleeve, long sleeve, then hooded jacket. If you got something that would normally for like normal use would seem nice and warm and cozy, something nice and puffy like fleece or something really soft, those are great for when you're like not moving around quick or it's not windy. But once the wind picks up, the wind just like cuts right through it and you just feel it hit you like right away. So one of the things I would do is make sure that it had like some sort of hoodie that has a little bit more of a shell to it or something more of a thicker material, not just a regular like cotton hoodie type of material, or not something that's fleece necessarily, something that has like panels or something that protects and blocks the wind. For the hands and for the head, the hands, kind of like the feet, I always like to have like that extra layer like every day, no matter what. For a long time, basically since probably about December before it really got like super cold, I've been going with thin glove, hand warmer, and then thicker mitten or thicker glove on top. So I've been going with like a triple layer system. My hand circulation is just not the best. And so like that part of me gets really, really cold. And I know that I probably am wearing 2 more layers than anyone else that's out there on the path, but that's what I need to do. And you know, I'm not trying to be tough about it. So I'm gonna go with that triple layer. Up top, I don't seem to need as much. And for this year, some of you guys have already been asking me about this and noted it. I haven't been going with the ski goggles. Normally, when we hit kind of these temperatures in the winter, I might reach for the ski goggles, but I've been just having so much trouble with them. I've even tried buying a couple of different kinds of ski goggles. I've been buying cheap ones, to be fair, but I've been buying a couple kinds, and they just get so foggy, and then that fog ices over. And so it's like trying to drive when you've only shoveled or scraped like that little part out from the way bottom of your windshield. It just doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel safe. And so I've just been ditching that. And I think I've cold acclimated my face now. I've had so many frozen eyebrow days. But basically now in Chicago, and so what I do is I always go with the neck gaiter, which, you know, when it's 3 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, or even lower, you know, it's not hard to convince myself to keep it up and covering my face. And then I'll have a winter hat. I usually like something with a beanie. Something that folds over is nice because then you get kind of a double layer over like the part that's like encapsulating the heat in, or like around your kind of like temple area. Or sometimes I go with one that's just like a single layer, not folded over as well. I'm a big fan. I'm partial to the little palms that go on top of winter hats. I don't know why. It's just a thing that I enjoy. It makes me happy. So that's what I've been doing. Some of my strategies for very, very cold winter running. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. I'd be happy to answer them there, or better yet, feel free to stop by the live stream that I do just about every day here on YouTube, 3 p.m. Central Time. I'd love to see you there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?